I know.
Hey guys, welcome to the Big Blue United podcast. My name is TJ. I'm here with Dan, is back from the dead, and Colin as well as always. How are you guys doing tonight, Dan? You feeling better there, buddy?
Yeah, much better. I can speak, which is sort of an important element of a podcast. Really bummed to miss last week. I listened. It was awesome. It was great to have Nikki on. So I don't know. How are you guys doing? I miss you.
143. I'm feeling great, feeling good, feeling great.
How are you?
Sick.
How are you? Yeah, exactly.
Great. Yeah, I feel good. I don't have anything to talk about. My life's not exciting.
You say your wife or your life?
My life, both. Just at that point, I guess. Lot to talk about today. So, as usual, guys, please follow Big Blue United on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us at BBU Podboys with a Z on Twitter. Subscribe and write us a review on Apple, which I usually don't say that one, but I mean, I think it's fun. Hit that 1 star, hit that 5 stars. Tell us we're great. Tell us we suck. I don't care. I just want some feedback.
Because great though.
We feed off the feedback.
Yeah, feed our children off the feedback.
Yeah, we thrive on change. I don't know if you knew that about us. Another thing we got to mention our newest sponsor today, which is Pepper Palace. You could get to them at pepperpalace.com. Just like a hub, basically, they say best hot sauce store on the planet. I don't see why not. You get nice hot sauce, barbecue sauce, you got salsa, seasonings, rubs, condiments, gifts, hats, masks, shirts, all the above. They sent me some stuff. I'm not a big hot sauce guy, but they did send some like really nice honey barbecue sauce. And my wife made a nice slow cooked pork butt in the crock pot with it.
Oh,
very good. Highly recommend it. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I what did I get? I got this Black Rose. It's like their original, I guess their original recipe for hot sauce. It was like the first product that they put out, and it's really good. I tried it last night on a leftover burrito, and it was incredible because it had kick, but it didn't have that kick where you thought more kick was coming. It was just that initial kick, and then it, dissipates a little bit. It was nice. I also got this jerk salsa, which was very interesting.
It's perfect for you.
Well, I mean, I am from the jerk store, and they're all out of you, Dan. Nice. Nothing about that made sense except if you know Seinfeld. But anyway, yeah, it's good stuff. I enjoy it. I look forward to continuing to use it. There's also this sickle pickles, which I have not tried yet, and I'm curious. I think it's just hot pickles, dill pickles in a hot brine.
Yeah. How many leftover burritos would you say you do like in a month? Is that a big thing for you or?
No. This was a one-off, but I was just like, oh,
one-off.
Well, yeah, that's the only leftover burrito.
The last leftover burrito I ever had.
I've never had a leftover burrito. I don't know how you only eat half of a burrito.
Sometimes they're huge, man. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Well, that was the whole thing, and it was one of those like lots of appetizer kind of situations. So I my eyes were bigger than my stomach. I loaded up on the appetizers, and by the time the burrito came, I felt like a horse's ass. So I saved it, and had some Pepper Palace on that, and made it a little extra tasty.
Nice.
Yeah, I think the variety of sauces I have are delicious, and it's not just the heat. It's a little flavor too. Sometimes you just get heat for heat's sake. It's nice to get a little flavor in there. And then the thing I wanted to share is, I called it. I have a 3-year-old, and it's Pepper Palace, so I called it pee-pee sauce, and that's really got legs in the house now. So, it's delicious. Go get some Pepper Palace, baby.
Pepperpalace.com. Check it out.
We already have like 3 potential names of this episode just in this conversation alone.
PP Sauce Boys.
Yeah.
Sauce Boys. I mean, I feel like we have a lot. The names have gotten to a level, I think, far beyond what the podcast ever was. So it's a lot of pressure now.
No, I was really proud of myself last week.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah.
It was right there, and we went for it, and I'm happy about it. Very happy.
Yeah. It was so good to have Nicky on too. It was just the perfect amount of insane and just low key at the same time, just like us. So it made sense. I'm looking forward to talking to him again.
we missed Dan, but Snacks, he jumped in right away. I thought Hefe, too, kind of fell in real quick. I guess, people who are, Dave Gettleman haters really are good on this podcast.
Are you going to mention Gettleman haters and not Will?
Oh, of course, Will. But, Will schooled us, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The whole time. All right. Anyway, let's just jump into the big news, which I guess is, the Brian Flores thing, not just with the Giants, but with the NFL altogether. I'm going to throw this to Dan first, simply because Dan went to law school. And I think there's a – what? No, you want me – I mean, I can give my opinion first if you want. I don't care.
Mean, I wouldn't frame it in the context of law school, but I want to hear your opinion first now, since you.
Sure. I mean, sure, fine. If I just want to start by going, because this is kind of a loaded issue, and I don't want to, come up here and say anything that's weird, because it's a hard topic for three white dudes to sit here and talk about, I think, to some degree. So if you just want to go from the legal standpoint, I don't really think that Flores has a lot to stand on here. And the examples that he gave are basically that John Elway was hungover and an hour late to a meeting. The next one was that Bill Belichick text, which is the more known story. And Bill Belichick has nothing to do with the Giants. He probably has an ear in the building. That's obvious, I think, to anybody. Everyone talks to Bill probably. He can get the information. But nobody knows that, and you can't necessarily prove that in a court of law. So I don't think that he's really going to have a lot to stand on in terms of this, lawsuit. I think if you want to look at it on the other hand, I think Flores has a point, because obviously racial disparity exists in society and exists in the NFL. I mean, he was the candidate that the Giants used to satisfy the Rooney Rule, because Patrick Graham was an inside hire, or an inside interview, which didn't count. It has to be 2 interviews for outside guys in person. There's other things too. Mara called Flores in the beginning and said that he wanted him to be the coach, and Shane wanted Dable. So I think that was, Mara sort of letting go to the football guys in this situation. I don't think that the Giants are necessarily, doing anything that's against minority candidates, at least from an outsider's perspective. I'm not in the building, so I can't say. But all I will say is that the Rooney Rule 100% creates situations where minority candidates are brought in for show because it's a requirement. I think that the reason this lawsuit exists is, and when I saw a 20-minute interview with Brian Flores, and I forget what show it was on or whatever, but basically he just came out and was like, if I never coach again, and change comes, it'll be worth it. And, he was embarrassed by the text that Bill Belichick had sent when he found out it wasn't for him, but then he decided to publicly, put those out to the public. So it's clearly something that he's standing by. And from what I was, just gathering, watching him talk, is that he does believe it and he does care. And I think he does have a point. 70% of the players are minorities, and there's, 2 black head coaches, 1 mixed race head coach, Ron Rivera, and I know I'm missing Saleh in the Jets. So clearly minorities are underrepresented. I think it's good for him to make a stand. I don't know if anything's going to happen, but I think he wants to do something positive for the league. And in terms of that, I think it's a good thing, but I don't have the answers, and I don't know what the NFL should do, and I don't know what should happen to the Rooney Rule, because it's above my pay grade sitting here on this podcast talking to you guys.
Same. I agree with everything you said, TJ. I think what Flores is doing is important and bold, and something that needs to be done in a very obvious way, which is what way he's handling it in order to get any sort of change happen. I don't think anything happens in the NFL or change is created easily. Very resistant to, embracing some things, whether it's, the traditional like celebrations all the way down the line to, inclusion and representation. And I mean, I think everyone knows or assumes there's a lot of stuff that happens in front offices and hiring that happens under the table or with partners or cronyism. And if someone leaves, a coach gets fired or someone in the front office gets fired, I bet you half the time they already have the replacement, like packing their bags to come over before they even make the call. Not to say that makes it okay, but that's just sort of the nature of the beast. It's a small club. People that are in it shuffle around. Everyone knows each other. Again, that brings up like the Bill Belichick having an idea and just sort of like, zoning out or texting wrong or, inciting or stoking a huge controversy. I don't know If he's capable of that, I think he just sort of baby boomered the text.
That's a good way to
But
put it.
you know, I think the claims that Flores raises in his complaint vary in degrees of severity. Like you said, a lot of it is circumstantial, particularly the stuff that happened to the Giants. There are many factors that indicate, that it was an honest, fair attempt to interview Flores, and he was considered right up to the very end a strong candidate for the job. And ultimately, we hired the GM, the assistant GM from the Bills, and he's had a long working relationship with Brian Dable, and the writing was on the wall from once we hired Shane. But I'm certainly, I would think that Flores would have been the coach if we hired anyone else. There was rumors if we hired Peters that Flores would be the head coach easily. But the other stuff is more concerning. The stuff out of Miami, the $100,000 per loss gambit that their owner threw down is troubling on many levels, especially the integrity of the game, and could, if that is found out to be true, could be a seismic shift in ownership and oversight, I think, for the NFL. And yeah, just the pure stats of it, the number of players that are people of color compared to the number of people in front offices and coaching staffs is a massive discrepancy. And it's troubling because why is that? I'm certain that there's just as many folks of color that are qualified and able to lead these players. Why is it all white dudes that, some have even played football since high school? It's just concerning and emblematic of a lot of things in this country, I think. But I think it's important, and hopefully there's some resolution that comes that's amicable and gives Flores his due, and just gotta wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, you guys pretty much covered it all. One thing to throw in too, just in terms of just the Giants' specific viewpoint on this, and Flores. I understand the idea of wanting to bring in more teams than just the one for this issue. It helps his cause, and that's why the Giants were brought into this. I don't know what the deal is with the Broncos. I know they were part of this as well. I don't really know the nitty gritty there, but we brought in Leslie Frazier as well. So that's two different players from two different coaches from outside the organization. So it was no leg to stand on there because the guys were already interviewed. So, and you're supposed to have two, correct? That's like the Rooney rule.
Who'd they interview? They interviewed the Bengals defensive coordinator, and his name escapes me now.
Lou at Anarumo.
Thank you. And then they interviewed Graham after Daboll and a few other guys. They interviewed Graham, and then they interviewed Leslie Frazier after Graham. So technically, Flores was the person who fulfilled the Rooney Rule for the Giants.
Oh, okay.
Technically,
all right.
yeah.
Well,
even though, Graham was interviewed in that process as well, but it doesn't count for an inside hire. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. I think it is a good thing that he's doing this. I just think maybe he saw the writing on the wall that his reputation was dragged so much in Miami that he figured, all right, well, this is the time to do this because I might not get another head coaching shot here. So, and I can commend him for that because it's definitely something that needs to be done at some point because it's just silly. It's like that. For years, everybody would talk about, oh, can you have a person of color as the quarterback of your NFL team? And now that's not a thing anymore. So now this is the next thing to get over. And power to him. I don't know if anything will come of it with the Giants getting sued or anything, but I guess it's to be seen. Either way, I'm personally happy with Dable over him anyway for non-outside of football things. So I don't know. It's just kind of like
they're two very different coaches.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not like it's not an apples to apples thing.
No.
But it's about stuff that I don't think we could ever know. What really happened, personal interactions, communications that happened between front office and coaching staff. And I have no reason not to believe Brian Flores. So
yeah, especially with the Dolphins, whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a class action suit, so I think there are many other people that are joining this, and there's going to be other teams that are implicated. And I'm sure all 32 teams have done something
Absolutely.
or another that is wrong. But hopefully it'll be a way to create some better equality and diversity and representation for a league that is predominantly Black folks. So hopefully that turns out right and doesn't get
swept under the rug or something
and politicized and
yeah.
All the other awful things that could happen. So
it would seem a lot of the time the NFL seems to want to be doing the right forward thing in these situations. I think the Kaepernick situation might be the exclusion there, but you can't force teams to sign a guy, and I think that was beyond race because it just becomes a media distraction as well.
But I mean, like, ownership is the NFL. Goodell works for the owners, and nothing happens if the owner it's.
And you have one minority owner out of 31, I guess you would say, with the Packers being publicly owned,
whatever that means.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else more to say about this lawsuit and Flores. I think everyone made good points, and I think I'll reiterate that I think his heart is in the right place, and he's doing this because it's the right thing to do for the NFL, and he might fall on a knife for it, but if it does spur positivity and positive change, I think it'll be worth it for him, and he said it himself that it would be. So I do want to retouch on the him getting accusing him getting paid of $100,000 to tank, and I know Hugh Jackson said the same thing when he was on the Browns. Whether or not this goes beyond that, you could assume so. Huge implications. I mean, I don't necessarily think that tanking is something that is so obscure or like people don't believe it happens. I think everyone believes that tanking happens. When there's a financial gain for a head coach to tank, it becomes a little bit of a different story. So, I mean, what do you think comes of this? And I'll just jump to a second question too. Is like a draft lottery like the NBA something that's on the table or something like that?
No, I think that is not good for the NBA at all. So It would be just so much worse for the NFL. I mean, it's that another apples and oranges kind of situation. There's just far too many more people per roster that I feel like it would drive those, for lack of better words, poverty teams even further down. I just think it would be a bad news kind of situation. I don't think they'd even consider it. I know it's been floating around, but
keep the draft relegation.
Oh, if we had an NFL 2, that would be the coolest.
The best thing I saw, and it's super unrealistic, is to do like a reverse playoff where all the bad teams play for the first pick. Like a reverse playoff.
Yeah.
See, that's interesting.
I know, but because, why would the players sign on to do that?
Well,
there's no reason for that.
Yeah, I know.
But it is a fun idea.
I saw that tweet to replace the Pro Bowl, like have the Jags and the Lions play each other.
That's where I kind of generated this thought from. Was that tweet? But I wanted to take it a little further. And there was one more thing that I saw that Mark Cuban had suggested in the NBA, and that would be there is no draft. But the teams with the worst records are granted a higher salary cap, so they would have more money to sign rookies. So the rookies who are the best would be more incentivized to sign with those teams because they had more money to offer them. Which is another interesting idea. I don't know how these things apply to the NFL. I mean, I hate the draft lot in the NBA just by nature of being a Knicks fan and like always getting screwed on it.
Well,
and we're also a fan of a bad football team, so get plenty screwed there too. I mean, I'm hoping the future is better. But if there was a draft lottery the past few years, I don't think it would have been a good thing for the Giants.
No.
I
mean, it didn't matter. Either maybe it would have been actually. Who knows?
It would have been a better spot. I mean,
I mean, if that whole allegation gets borne out and proven, you have to think that ownership will change in Miami, opening up one of the most valuable sports entities in the world. I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see. In a city like Miami, there's a lot of diversity down there. Maybe a great opportunity for some more diversification in ownership. They can incentivize that.
And let J-Lo buy more of a portion with A-Rod. Is she with Ben Affleck now? I can't keep track.
Yeah, they're with Affleck.
Doesn't she own part of the Dolphins though? I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was the Marlins, or maybe.
No. I think I don't. Oh, who cares? Anyway,
exactly.
But good point, Dan. But yeah, there are guys. A-Rod. There are guys like him who baseball players, because there's no salary caps. The good ones just made so much money by playing, plus their endorsements. So
yeah,
I think that there's plenty of people to buy the Dolphins who are minorities.
And that stadium is cool too. You ever get a good look at it and the renovations that they did down there? It's
Sun Life.
It looks like an international soccer stadium, basically.
The only thing I think of when I think of that stadium is the Prince halftime show in the rain. That's the only image that comes to my head.
Best.
I watch that regularly. I think it's amazing.
Regularly, once a week.
Pretty much, for a while at least, yeah.
My dad went to a game with my uncle in Miami like the year before COVID. He said the stadium was really nice. It was a really good game and a good atmosphere. So
cool.
Agreed. This is from what
I hear. That goes into my lifetime bucket list of making sure I see the Giants play in every stadium in the country.
How many are you up to?
I thought two.
Two.
No, wait. No, I've only seen them play in one. No, that's not true. I've seen them play twice, or two different places, and one wasn't in this country. So
yeah.
I'm on 3 in the U.S.
I saw the Dolphins play in Pittsburgh, and it was 18 degrees. That was cool. I enjoyed that. But
sounds really fun.
Giants away. No, I need to start getting on that.
Yeah, I saw Giants-Ravens game in Baltimore, which was super fun. And the Baltimore fans are very classy people. Some guy, everyone was bumming me cigarettes because I was trying to quit smoking and didn't bring a pack with me to the stadium, which is always the dumbest thing you could ever do when you're a smoker and also been drinking.
Wow.
But hey, classy people. They didn't yell at me for wearing a what jersey did I have at the time?
Kenny Phillips.
Wearing a Kenny Phillips jersey. Yeah. Unlike when I went to LA to a Yankees-Dodgers game and wore a Mariano Rivera t-shirt where I got stuff thrown at me when we were sitting down.
Wow,
Not classy, LA.
I didn't know the Dodger fan to be like that.
So this is actually a funny story. So I went to LA for 4 days and we went to 3 Yankees games. And the first day we sat on the first level. The second day we sat in the second level. And the third day we sat on the third level. It just was progressively less classy day to day, as one might expect.
The class system in motion.
We were behind first base, and the iPad had come out the first iPad had come out the day before, and there was 3 people in front of us with iPads, and I was just like, LA is an interesting place. There's a lot of money floating around here, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
TJ, I never would have pegged you as a guy that would measure class. That classiness would sell you on something.
I didn't pay for any of those tickets, nor my plane ticket, nor my hotel stay when I went. So, I guess a little bit, Dan, because
the finer things.
Because I used to be a POS. When I was younger. Yeah. Anyway, you guys want to talk a little about the coaching hires that we've added since the last pod, and departures as well. I think we should add too with Graham going to Vegas, but let's get into that for a second. So I'll just rattle them off here. We got Mike Kafka, offensive coordinator.
Excited.
Magani staying as special teams, which is an interesting one. Shea Tierney, quarterbacks coach. Bobby Johnson, Bills O-line. I know we mentioned that last week. Andy Bischoff, Eric Bischoff's brother from the WDE. I'm presuming a tight ends coach. And Jerome Harrison for the secondary. I don't have much to say about the position group coaches necessarily, but what's your opinion on the Mike Kafka hire? Dan, you want to start?
I love it. I just, on a very base level, to combine concepts from the Kansas City offense. Kafka was not only a quarterbacks coach, but also the passing game coordinator, with elements of the Bills offense, and then tailoring that to suit our personnel. Is super exciting. I remember Mike Kafka from playing at Northwestern. Don't remember his short NFL career, but to have someone that's involved deeply with Andy Reid's offensive mind is great. Andy Reid is an incredible offensive coordinator, offensive play caller, innovator, just not game manager, really. So to have him and Daboll working together, I think Kafka might be a good one of the only people that they could have hired that I think has a chance to call plays, or at least eventually. because I really think Dable needs to be on the sideline and not upstairs.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just thinking about Kadarius Toney and what the guys that you know made Tyreek Hill do the stuff he does could do with someone like Kadarius Toney, who has a similar skill set. And just I feel like we're going to put our personnel in the best position to succeed offensively with the staff. So I'm super stoked.
Yeah, I like the guy as an offensive mind, and I do like the idea that they didn't just hire some guy to stand there while Dable called all the plays. I think that's important too,
Yeah.
so they can bounce ideas off of each other. I think that's really awesome. Just in terms of like one of the random position coaches, what was the name of the tight ends coach again?
Tight ends, Andy Bischoff.
Yeah, so he was a big proponent of developing Mark Andrews in Baltimore,
he was
which
assistant TE coach with the Ravens when Mark Andrews was drafted, 4th round. Also, and they drafted Hunter Henry in the first, or no, it wasn't Hunter Henry, Hayden Hurst in the first round, and they ended up their 4th round pick being like the guy he's like the best, one of the best in the league now,
which is incredible in itself. You got people on our club now that can actually get diamonds in the rough like that and develop. So yeah, I know it's underrated and it's like, oh, tight ends coach, whatever, but like, I don't know, that's kind of a big deal, especially at the tight end position for us, which is, I mean, yeah, we've had a good run of them here and there, but I think it's been pretty mediocre since Shockey, by and large.
Ballard Boss,
Pasco,
whoever Eli made good look good that year, and then whoever moved on to another team and you never heard their name again.
Oh, you mean Visante Shanko?
Whoever there is. I mean, it remains to be seen who's playing tight end because you have to assume Evan Ingram is gone. But I know there is talk that maybe people want him to come back and see what he can do in a new offense. I'm not one of those people. But can I just mention with Mike Kafka, because I kind of disagree with you guys on why he was hired in terms of the play calling. Kafka never called plays before. So I think Dayball calls plays, at least to start. And I don't think he does it from the box. I think he does it from the field. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think you can have success with the head coach calling the plays. And, I will say about Mike Kafka too. I mean, he was Patrick Mahomes' QB coach. Great. Yeah. Coming in to mentor Daniel Jones. Maybe that's why he's going to be offensive coordinator. And also like Andy Reid coaching
coordinator too.
Yeah. Andy Reid coaching tree, 34 years old, bumped himself up to quarterback coach in 5 years. Guy's obviously got some gusto. So I think it's a great hire for the Giants. And I just think it's a good hire. I don't have much to speculate on other than that, but he might not call plays to start. I don't know.
It might end up being a very Eric Bieniemy kind of situation in the long run. And if that's the case, then great. That's a guy who's been it's a shame that guy doesn't have a job elsewhere yet. It's insane, actually.
Kind of shocking, honestly. Yeah. That I think kind of that was his kind of downfall, is that he doesn't call the plays, and I think that people talk about that too much.
Well, Andy Reid came out recently and said that no, that guy calls more plays than you realize. Like, it's not all Andy all the time. It's kind of a partnership, which is kind of interesting.
It's great.
Yeah,
they clearly created success there. Yeah. I mean, they happen to just have drafted, the most transcendent quarterback since Peyton Manning. But hey, who am I to judge? Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say about these position coaches. I mean, a lot of people poach from the Bills. A lot of what I do like the most is a lot of guys coming from the Bills or wherever else. It's kind of like their first shot at this job, and Shane Tierney was an offensive assistant, then he was assistant QB coach. Now he's a QB coach. With Andy Bischoff, assistant tight end coach. Now he's a tight end coach. I guess he only really Bobby Johnson was O-line coach with the Bills, and then Jerome Harrison was he's an old dude. He's like the only old guy they hired so far, it would seem. It's like a old player. Secondary coach for Jets, Browns, Cowboys, most recently Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest thing is what we're going to do with this defensive coordinator situation. Mm-hmm. Graham leaving was quite a bit of a shock when I saw that little blurb come through. I thought we were locked in, we were good to go, and then clearly, buddy boy Josh McDaniels out there probably dangled a couple of more less taxed dollar signs in front of him, and he figured that it's a better stadium anyway when they go out there.
Yeah,
the weather's better.
It could be, he's known both guys for a long time in Dable and McDaniels, and maybe they're just better friends or get along better. He believes in his program more. You don't know.
Yeah.
Or
he could have been offended by the idea of being interviewed for head coach and being told, no, we don't want to do that, but you want to stick around.
Yeah.
That's 100% probably
Yeah.
a contributing factor. I also think that Vegas has more guys on the defense that can do the things that he wants to do, and they actually have like legitimate pass rushers on that team.
Yeah, Max
which
Crosby.
is fun. Yeah. So with Graham being gone, guys, I know there's a lot of names so far. The Giants have interviewed, I think, Wink Martindale, Sean Desai, Jim Swartz. I don't know if I missed any. Dan, who's the pick for you for DC?
I don't know. I mean, to me, a very surface level again, like Wink Martindale seems like a great choice. I know they floated his name last go around with Joe Judge as potential head coach for the Giants. But it's the Ravens defense. I know they had a down year this year, but they're always in the mix despite what level of talent they have. I feel like, they do draft well and they have solid talent, but there's been a ton of the past 5 or 6 years. There hasn't been a like dominant superstar on that team. And they always are one of the top, 10, if not 5 defenses in the NFL. And it's all been under Wink
Can
Martindale.
I rattle off a couple stats for you here?
Yeah.
When he was defensive coordinator of the Ravens, they had a top 5 defensive unit, 3 out of 4 seasons. He was defensive coordinator. 2019, the Ravens only let up 15 touchdowns the entire year, which is like basically like playing last year's Giants team every week of the year. So it's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I guess, I mean, for me, that's it. I don't, the other guys seem like they're good candidates, and everyone's buzzing about Vic Fangio right now. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that would also be very intriguing. And I think it's an opportunity for them to get like more veteran, experienced guys on the staff as well on the other side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, did you see that video of Vic Fangio making meatballs?
I mean, I saw the thumbnail of it, and that's all I needed.
I mean, he had Frank playing in the background. He had like a little bit of a shimmy in his step. He was really enjoying himself. I could get down.
I'm a Fangio. I want them to sign Fangio or hire Fangio, I should say. And they haven't interviewed him yet, as far as I know. But in my mind, he's been a head coach, and he's like 63 years old. So he's kind of the opposite of where the Giants have been going. But that being said, I think you have an offensive-minded guy in Dable. Bringing in just someone with that much experience on the defensive side of the ball kind of makes Dable's job a lot easier, and to focus on the unit that is just atrocious, that really needs the help. And you can kind of let Fangio go out there and do his thing on defense. One of my favorite things that I read recently was that I think Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, and Kyle Shanahan all said he was the person they wanted to go against the least. And when you bring up those 3 names, those are kind of the 3 big names for me of young, dynamic offensive coordinators. Maybe LaFleur a little less because you kind of just go, hey, Aaron Rodgers, throw the ball. And then we'll win. But that being said, like, I also like that he's known to scheme around the players he has. And I think Wink would have more success on a team with a better front 7 than the Giants have, because the Giants are more secondary heavy than the Ravens usually were. So in my mind, I just think that, get a guy who's been in the NFL for 2 decades, has a little bit of head coaching experience, albeit what didn't go super well for him. And, just someone who's basically had more success with his defensive units than didn't over 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and hopefully we hear in the next couple of days. I don't think they should wait much longer. Let's lock this entire staff in and just get going. I mean, the coolest thing about Shane is the fact that he already had studied the first 4 rounds of ranked players when he was still in Buffalo. So it's just, he brought that information with him, and he's already got a head start, which is neat.
Started jettisoning a couple people from the front office.
That's the coolest thing about Shane. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's interesting too, it's just like, well, Buffalo knows what he likes already. So that's going to be an interesting story during the draft too, because you're probably going to see Buffalo trying to jump in front of us at some point, just knowing that there's someone that they know that Shane wants.
In the later rounds, I could definitely see it.
Right?
Yeah. In the first, they'll never have enough capital to jump up to where we are, because I think they'll probably picking in 28th or something like that would be my guess. Speaking of, jettisoning front office people, what's Kevin Abrams doing now?
Jettison to the basement.
What is the title they gave him?
Stapler coordinator, I think.
Senior vice president of player personnel and strategy operations.
Or like director of football. To me, it just sounds like you go into work and they like say, all right, Kevin, just why don't you answer a couple emails and then you can have a long lunch, send you out.
Here's an abacus.
But give him the abacus, let him figure out the cap in the basement with the door locked.
From the outside.
but really, I know, and I want to go to Dan first on the Brendan Brown hire, guy they poached from the Eagles, because I know you've talked a lot in this podcast about how much you like the Eagles front office. So tell us a little about this Brendan Brown hire and why you're excited about it.
I'm excited about it because the Eagles have been eating our lunch in drafts and team building for, I don't know, I'd say like 10 years at least, probably longer. He's part of that organization that I think is very forward thinking, and leans on the stuff, analytics wise and positional value wise that we should be doing. He played football at Fordham, which goes a long way in my heart and family. He went to a shitty law school, which also resonates a lot with me because I did the same thing. And
he's from Glen Cove.
He's
from
New York guy. Yeah, he's a New York dude.
The other Westchester.
Yeah. And there's a bunch. I was trying to scrounge him up. They totally slipped my mind because I'm sleep deprived. But he was also integral in making a lot of sort of splash picks that the Eagles landed, high value players in later rounds. And he was sort of the one that advocated for those decisions. So just like having someone like that would be the number two under Shane and getting younger and more creative.
Yeah, I mean he's 34 years old. He's really hungry. He's just trying to eat. If you know what I mean. And I just think that
100%, dude.
Yeah. I think that having someone with that fire and so much experience already, and having the controls at his hands. I mean, having an actual assistant GM with maybe different ideas to bounce things off of, I think that's an incredible thing. And Shane's just done nothing more than between Dable and Shane, hiring people that aren't just friends, aren't good old pals, people who are qualified, people that deserve to be there. And it was interesting. You brought it up before that it seems that a lot of these things are these hires are they're promotions. They're basically promotions for a majority of them, which only would drive someone to want to succeed that much more. So it's not just this nepotism and I knew him for 30 years, so let's bring him in because what else does he have going on?
Having the same assistant GM for 20 years.
Yeah, I saw that. And I was just like, are you serious? That so he's been around.
Anyone who ever came in, the Mara was just like, Kevin Abrams is your assistant GM. Welcome to the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever had to say. Ever. It's insane.
Yeah.
The only other thing I want to bring up is the Giants. I think it's the second woman the Giants have ever hired. They have a scout who's a woman as well, but Laura Young, director of coaching operations. I don't know what that means, but I'm happy about it. Rex Ryan was actually the one that kind of brought her into the NFL and took her under his wing. Yeah, she was on the client side in Baltimore, and then he took her over to the football side on the Jets, and then brought her to Buffalo, and then she was in Buffalo ever since. And another person poached from the Buffalo staff coming down to New York. So that seems to be a recurring theme. I think I'm happy about it.
Yeah, we're the New York Bills.
Fine.
We're the New York Bills, but we play in Jersey. Yeah. The Bills are the only team that play in New York.
Yes,
but yes, okay.
We're the Sunday afternoon presentation of the New York, New Jersey Bills on NBC.
Love it.
Sure. I do also want to ask you guys, and I don't think there's a lot of substance behind these things, but it's out there, so let's speculate on it, because here we are talking to each other about the Giants. So I've heard that the Giants want to move on from, well, it's kind of two separate things for me. One is that the Giants want to move on from Kadarius Toney. Okay. I don't believe that. Secondly, the Giants want to move on from Saquon and Bradbury, which is totally believable to me. Do you guys put any merit behind these things? Like, they just come out. People just say stuff to get a rise, I think, is mostly this is.
Well, I mean, the Toney situation, I think that's total baloney. But I think with Saquon...
Tony baloney,
exactly. But with Saquon and Bradbury, that easily could have been an inside leak of just basically letting people know, hey, you're interested? Pick up the phone. maybe we can talk. And that's all.
Yeah,
They
I
want
mean,
to clear. Yeah, go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
I'm saying I'd rather a leak or rumors floating than trading our like one blue chip offensive prospect to one team and making one phone call like we did so many years ago with a player that you guys don't want me to talk about anymore.
We're going to talk
100%
about
there.
Odell in the next when we talk about the Super Bowl because Snacks brought it up last week and we didn't have enough time for to discuss it really. So I do want to
Good.
talk about it. Yeah.
But no, I again, like everyone's like nobody's off the table. Anyone is tradable on this squad, which to a certain extent is true, but also you have to keep the people with the tremendous upside that haven't got to play on a real team yet.
Yeah.
Getting rid of Kadarius Toney would be a public relations nightmare. Fan base would revolt, and it also hinder any chance of like sparking an offense that was so barren this last season. Why get the only guy that can create anything? Getting rid of Saquon obviously is a no-brainer to me. Bradbury, if you can get a nice pick, a nice draft equity, or obviously I'm fine with that as well. I think he's a quality player, but he's not going to make us win a Super Bowl.
No.
I think Bradbury is a perfect cut candidate. I don't think you're going to trade him. Saquon, I think maybe you could trade him because he does. I think can other teams pick up 5th-year options? Maybe you pick up his 5th-year options and you trade him because he hasn't the year in his contract, or they already did. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, they already picked up his 5th-year option. So I think he is tradable because I think he has more value than Bradbury does in terms of his contract, which is only $7 million a year. And for me, getting rid of him kind of just like ends that Gettleman era completely.
Oh,
it's
that'd
just
be so
like
good.
Yeah.
ends one of the worst mistakes that this franchise has ever made. So that would be great. Tony, to me, the whole thing is just so ridiculous, just in terms of the fact that, like, what are you going to do? Trade him for a 3rd-round pick? You're not going to get a first for him. It just doesn't make any sense. He's a $3 million cap hit. He is a dynamic player. He showed us that against the Cowboys with almost 200 yards receiving. He didn't do a lot the rest of the year, but we have a new offensive scheme coming in, new guys to put him in the places he needs to be successful. So there's zero reason to get rid of Tony.
You mean don't just throw him a 5-yard slant and ask him to juke 6 guys the second he catches the ball?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone acknowledges that the guy needs to mature. That's fine. But you don't give up on 21-year-old dudes because they're immature that you spent a 1st-round pick on. You should have done your research before you drafted him if that was your concern.
Yeah.
Which I hope they did, but new regime, so I guess they can have a different valuation of him.
When you fall in full bloom love at the Senior Bowl, you don't know, you can't mess with that.
Well, what do you think of the continuation of the one thing from bridging the gap between last season's offense and the upcoming one? Will he have the ball
still
in
on
his
the
hands?
team?
No, will he be throwing the ball?
He should be.
I have no idea what to expect, but I did read that Daboll was doing a lot of research on the offense Kevin Gilbride ran when he was in New York, which is
stop it.
Not the exact thing I wanted to read, but you couldn't imagine it would be maybe the fundamentals are similar, but you couldn't imagine it would really be that way. Yeah. What's that?
Sometimes you got to learn what not to do.
Oh, you mean a running back draw on 3rd down?
Yeah.
I was thinking more of a QB sneak on 2nd and 11.
No, I was thinking kill drive specifically.
Speaking of quarterbacks, did you see who we're bringing in?
Yeah, Davis Webb is back, baby.
He's still in the NFL. I forgot.
Yeah, he was with the Bills. We're just bringing the Bills down.
I was reading that if they sign him, then the Giants will have one Jerry Reese pick on their roster coming into this year.
I think it's official. I think he was signed earlier.
Oh, really? I didn't read that. I just saw that they brought him down. So there you go.
That's funny. I mean, not too long ago.
So what if they have Fromm and then they signed Trubisky and then they have Webb? So they just took all of the quarterback room from Buffalo except for the guy that really matters.
Wait, Trubisky didn't get signed.
Trubisky.
I've heard that he's coming down to be worked out or something like that. I read that. I don't know if it was from a reliable source or not, but somebody tweeted it, so I'm going to say it was.
Yeah, I think it was Torm.
Torm tweeted it. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Super Bowl real quick. I know last week we talked about how we love Stafford and want him to ring, but the Bengals is just such a good story. But we didn't get Dan. What is your perspective? Who do you want to win?
I mean, it's hard not to love the Bengals and Joe Burrow's swag and everything. Just cool and fun, and they're doing they're just having a lot of fun with it, playing for what's his name, the gorilla, Amarabi or
Harambe.
Harambe.
I thought it was Hammurabi.
No, that's
No,
the
that's like the
code from
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought he was named after that guy. Can't be named after that guy.
No, it's
That's
spelled
spelled
Harambe?
differently. It's totally different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, you
I,
guys know I've never tried to read my
Yeah.
reading comprehension's pretty low. So
I, I'm just a wash old, but this I mean, for me, I would love to see Odell win a Super Bowl. I just love the guy. I always have. You know, it it'd be cool. It'd be cool. I mean, it's going to be a fun game nonetheless. I think it'll be exciting. I think the Bengals are going to keep it tight. But it'd be a nice little bow on the season where we got rid of all the vile, toxic stuff in the Giants and have the one guy who's the postcard of like they made a point of getting rid of to win a Super Bowl right in Dave Gettleman's stupid face would make me really happy.
Oh, he doesn't care. That's the problem.
I'd rather have Odell win than Eli Apple, but it's just so hard to root against the Bengals.
Yeah,
It's just too fun of a story.
Super fun.
If the Bengals figure out how to block, they're going to win this game, in my opinion.
I mean, Aaron Donald could take this game over super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Joe Burrow, is impressive. It's impressive, and he's only going to get better.
Yep.
Hey, if they don't win this year, I think that there's more Super Bowls in the future for them.
Well, what was that? I saw an insane stat today. He could be the first Heisman Trophy winner, national championship winner, and first overall pick to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I saw that too. Also, he would be the first second-year quarterback to win a Super Bowl as well.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Let's do a score prediction, like old time's sake.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get crazy. I'm gonna say 2016 Bengals.
2016 Bengals. All right, Dan.
I thought you were gonna say a high scoring game, but that
No,
doesn't happen
that's
in
why.
Super Bowls. Yeah. I don't know. This Cooper Cup thing is really weird at this point. I don't know how Cooper Cup plays a game and doesn't score like 3 touchdowns. So I'm gonna go 28-20 Rams.
I'll go 27-24, and I don't know which team's going to win, but I'll say Bengals. But I think it could go either way. I think all I know is it's going to come down to the fourth quarter and the final drives.
Maybe we'll just come in. You and I will win it.
We've been trying to win. Colin and I have been trying to win the Super Bowl since we were kids.
Like a third team, like the Bengals versus the Rams versus Colin and TJ.
It's just us.
Yeah.
There's no team. It's just
you snap it to
us.
Colin. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about this since at least 7th grade, I think.
It's a very silly, argument joke that we've been running forever. And guys, with that being said, thanks for listening tonight. Don't forget to follow Big Blue United on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at BBU Podboys with a Z. Download that DraftKings app. Check out pepperpalace.com. And don't forget to write Dan an email at bigblueunitedpodcast@gmail.com.
It might take me a while to get back. I've got so many.
Yeah, he's inundated.
Yeah.
Sorry if he hasn't answered you yet. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.